Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Roots Report. As I'm Daniel Poulter, a beat writer for covering the Oakland Roots this season, um, let's talk about where the Oakland Roots are at, because it's not looking good, if I'm going to be very honest with you. Season is not mathematically over, but this game in the last month definitely tells you a story of this team that probably, most likely, very slim chance of making the playoffs. Today was a perfect opportunity on the road. A strange Wednesday at noon game, midweek game against El Paso Locomotive FC. A team that was in sixth place in the standings coming into today. Oakland coming in 11th place. Oakland came into the game only 4 points behind Colorado Springs in the Western Conference standings. And what has been a extremely gettable Western Conference. It was projected only, I think, about 6 weeks ago that 39 points would be the cutoff point for a 8th place slot. Coming into today, the Oakland Roots had 27 points. They had never lost on the road to El Paso Locomotive FC, and that changed today as the Oakland Roots fall 3-1 to El Paso Locomotive in a game that I probably could have turned off after 4 minutes. After last week's game, absolute collapse against Phoenix, it's definitely kind of feels in the air that this team, not that they're giving up, but it seems that they're understanding that this may just not be their season. I've been wanting to really stress that I always felt whichever teams out of Monterey Bay, Oakland, Orange County, Colorado Springs, Phoenix, and El Paso, whoever wins like 3 out of the last 5 games, they're making the playoffs compared to the rest of the teams. And Oakland just lost their first. They've got 4 games remaining in the season. We're going to go over those games, but Oakland gave up a goal in the I think it was either 42nd or 44th second of the game. Only 2 minutes slower than last week's Danny Trejo goal that Oakland Roots scored against Phoenix. But the first goal was just unacceptable. Yes, is playing in El Paso at midday. Who decides this? That seems like the worst time to ever play in El Paso. Middle of the heat, without your center back, without Gaggi, who had a red card last week against Phoenix. And they gave up a goal within less than a minute. It was also one of those classic goals, very similar to versus New Mexico United earlier in the season. Also a Rafael Spiegel game. We'll get to him in a little bit. I think people know my opinions roughly, though they have slightly changed more of a context for him where I'm less upset about the overall signing. But we'll see where that goes. He has definitely struggled in his time in goal, replacing in the competition with Kendall McIntosh. But he gives up a goal. It's one of those classic ones that he gives up because he's so big, he's so lumbersome. They just hit it low, and he's got nothing for it. He can't get down that quickly. He can't get to the ground. Anything on the ground for him is a struggle, especially because he usually likes to use his legs instead of his arms on those lower shots because he technically has a larger frame. I understand why he doesn't. It makes a lot of sense from a goalkeeper wise for his size. I just don't like that in a goalkeeper. It just doesn't. I would rather have someone who can get to those balls and is less of a facilitator and less of someone who is an offensive goalkeeper, which is the trend these days. I will not deny that is what people are looking for from their goalkeeper, is to be less of a goalkeeper and more be an extra defender for facilitating and passing more of the bombing runs and more being able to throw the overruns deep down the field. But let me bring this up. Oakland Roots. overall, just a very, very disappointing 5 minutes. They gave up the second goal, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, it was in the 5th minute. That one, I will stress, probably wasn't his fault. It was a shot from outside that I believe Babosi Beraranga, basically deflected off his leg and then went in a weird direction. I think only like the best goalkeepers in the world are probably getting to that level of deflection. That kind of goal happens. That's understandable. But you're down 2-0 in the first 5 minutes on the road against a team that you have to get 3 points again. And it was never close the rest of the game. The Oakland Roots, over their last, they were also versus an opponent who had not won a game in the month of September. Funnily enough, Oakland Roots have not won a game in the month of September. They hadn't won, I think, they hadn't gotten a win since like early August. They had got so many draws, El Paso. The Oakland Roots' last win was over a calendar month ago against Monterey Bay. And if you go past that, they only have 2 wins since July 19th. You are not making the playoffs, even how bad the Western Conference and how clusterly jammed together it is. You are not winning the Western. You're not winning. You are not making the playoffs, even if 8 of the 12 teams make it, if you have that poor of results. Which comes into question of who should stick around? Who should they bring back? Who does Coach Benny Feilhaber want to stay here? Do the front office want him back? A lot of questions, a lot of things to try and figure out. But let me see if I can bring up the starting lineup, because there was some interesting, funky maneuvers. So let me see if I can bring it up here. All right, so starting lineup for today. You had instead of, I'm not exactly sure what Kai Green has done. Kai Green, for most of the season, has been a linchpin of the back line with Hackshaw, just combined at the hip. Those two were seen as the elder statesmen, super veterans, absolutely fantastic players on the back line, especially during the beginning of the Benny Feilhaber era. They seem to have really locked down that back line. With, of course, the addition of Gagi in the center of those two, with Gagi not being able to play because of the red card he suffered in, I think, the 95th minute last week against Phoenix. They put Camden Riley instead of Kai Green in the back line, which was a very interesting maneuver. And I think John from Roots blog brought it up, where Kai Green's just not really playing, and it could be that he's nursing injuries. It could be that it's just he's that level of veteran where the end of the season he's just been worn down, and he just doesn't have anything left. I definitely saw that from Hackshaw today, where the statistics and the analytics say that Hackshaw had a really good game, and I do believe that. I do think he had a really good game, but you could tell that he was pretty old. Like, you could tell that, like, Hackshaw, like, he's not a spry young man right now. Does that mean he's not good? No, because I do think he did play well, but there was definitely some moments where, like, the younger striker is zipping right on his heels, and you're like, ooh, he's sluggish. He's just grabbing, like, he's just, I'm getting there. And you're like, oh, okay, Hackshaw. Woo, okay, let's see. But starting lineups. This is not correct, this formation, but some of these things are somewhat correct. The things that we have to remember, Panos has been playing left back. Just watch Ali Almasnawi and Panos Armanakis. And then Ali was more in the middle. Wolfgang was more on the left-hand side. The Flop Mob and even on the broadcast, they never get it right, so don't worry about it too much. The one thing that this did kind of show, and it was immediately seen as awful, is they kind of were playing Biaranga in alongside Maury Donor on the back right side, and had Maury Donor a little bit more forward. After they gave up to the 2 goals, I believe they swapped that and then moved him inside, and then moved, I think EJ Johnson was kind of floating in that nebulous top right zone. And this is also an interesting thing that they had EJ Johnson start instead of Danny Gomez. And EJ Johnson is a weird case. Local kid, Fairfield, came up through the Sacramento Republic's farm system, played in the top flight Scottish League. He has the body, but I'm not sure if it's one of he seems like a project, but I don't know if they have the time for him to be a project. He's still very, very young, but it seems like one of those ones where it should spark by now, but it's not really sparking yet. I'm not sure if he's someone. I think they'll bring him back because I think they probably have him on a relatively team friendly deal. But I'm intrigued to see what he can bring to the table in these last 4 games, if they want to play him or not. Things that I also noticed besides, I still think Kendall should be starting. Let me see if I can bring it up here. The last 3 games, Spiegel started against FC Tulsa, and then he started against Phoenix and El Paso. Kendall gave up 10 goals in 5 games, and Spiegel's at 7 goals through 3 games in this last little stretch. I'm starting Kendall against Hartford, but I'm a random guy in a chair who has a media credential. And it doesn't help that a lot of these games where if you get the win over, you hold the win against Charleston, you hold the 3-0 lead against Phoenix, that was the true killer. Because if you lose this game but win against Phoenix, you're only 1 point down going with 4 remaining. You feel way better. If you had held on for this Lexington game, if you had held on and won the Sacramento game, even though they had to come back, but you get my point here. There's 4 games left. There is a total of 12 points. Let me see if I bring up our good old league schedule here. Boop, boop. Not even going to look at the top 4 because they do not matter. There's a lot of things fighting against Oakland here. The first thing, this 31 points is kind of a mirage because of Orange County. Orange County has 6 games left. Of course, I looked at the schedules for Monterey Bay, Colorado Springs, Phoenix, El Paso, and Orange County, and they play the top heavy hitters of the West and the East. So, there is a good chance that not a lot of points, but compared to Monterey Bay has 3 games left, and they're 3 points behind Colorado Springs, it's gonna be very tough for them to jump the table. But they're in a better spot than Oakland, because Oakland right now is at 27 points. There's a non-0% chance that Las Vegas wins this weekend, and Oakland is a dead last with 4 games remaining, which is where no one thought this team would be, but it could be argued maybe deserves to be. Because that's the weirdest thing about this year's team. There's a lot of talent on this Oakland Roots team, but I don't know if it's the right talent together. So let me back up the schedule here for a second and scroll down. So you have 4 games, and there's some easy games here, and there's some very not easy games here. First thing, Hartford. Hartford is a really funky game because Hartford is playing on Saturday night in Sacramento in the Jägermeister Cup finals, which you would assume they're going to go all out for, which could mean that, especially with their playoff spot basically confirmed in the East, not guaranteed, but it's looking pretty solid that Hartford, though they are going for Loudoun for a home playoff game, which they could really want, but they could be playing some subs or some very early bench play in that game. Oakland continues to be one of, if not the worst. Let me see if I can bring it up here for you. They are the worst in the Western Conference. Oh, we don't have the East, but the Oakland is the worst in the Western Conference with 12 points, 3 total victories. Though, funnily enough, Colorado Springs only has 2 wins at home, which one of them is against Oakland. Or no, ignore everything I just said. I'm looking at the draw, and I'm a dum-dum. But them and Phoenix, which are the only teams with only 3 home victories. That's just not going to cut it. You've only scored 9 goals at home. It's just not going to cut it. So, like, do I think they're going to beat Hartford? Probably not. Hartford is earlier in the season was seen as one of the worst teams in the East. They are now a dark horse to win the East. I wouldn't bet on them, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see them against Charleston or versus Louisville in the semifinals or the finals. I could see it. Las Vegas Lights, the Johnny Rodriguez rivalry revenge game in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is technically not eliminated. Oakland is technically not eliminated. This is a must-win game. If you think you are making the playoffs, you have to win this game, and you have to win this game convincingly. 3 points, basically a draw at any point in any of these games is just you're in trouble. You'll take the point, but this is the type of season they needed wins a month ago, and now they really need wins. So Las Vegas has to be a win. New Mexico's been a funky team, but this is playing at I think it's 3:00 because it should be Mountain Time. It's either 3 or 4 o'clock in New Mexico on a week that you could really want to win that game against New Mexico. That's the linchpin game for me, is they have to win New Mexico. I also don't think they're going to win New Mexico. That seems like one of those games where I think New Mexico is just going to play super well. It's going to be a good chance this is going to be their clinching for maybe a home playoff game. That's a game they're circling to win. And then you have Lexington, who's been surging recently. Lexington is 6th in the standings, but overall they have been just a really solid team, especially after sneaking. I don't think if you are ahead in that game, I will never feel safe, especially at home. It's the last game of the season. There's also a chance they will already have been mathematically eliminated depending on other results. And this could just be a meaningless game for Oakland. I will be there no matter what, and we'll see what happens. But let me see if I can bring up the Oakland Roots roster real quick, because I want to talk about who do you want back next season? Who should be back next season? Let's bring up. All right, we got the roster. So, Gagi, I think 100%. The depending on who is the head coach, if it is Benny Feilhaber, I'm going off the assumption that it will be. But of course, them not making the playoffs was a set kind of thing where they talked a big game coming into the season that they're going to win hardware and trophies, and that's what they want. And then they fired their coach, and then they completely struggled. And the problem is, like, versus Phoenix, those first 25, 30 minutes was some of the best I've seen them play all season. It's in there somewhere. I just don't know exactly what's the case. I think Gagi, I like Julian Bravo a lot. Should both be around. I think if Hack wants to be around, I think you bring him back, though I'm not sure. It could be one of those things where eventually turns into a super sub type role for him. But he could easily, I see him like a top team, maybe in the Eastern Conference, comes out and just like, hey, we're looking for a guy to be a really good sub, like a Louisville or something. It's just like, oh, you're our 5th best defender. I can see it. Jurgen Damm experiments has not really worked out, in my opinion. He's a great player when healthy. He's just really never been healthy, and he's really good at numerous roles, but not really a like, we're going to pencil him in. He should be our central midfielder. He should be our right wing. He should be they kind of throwing darts with him right now, and there's some flashes, but I don't think it's flashes enough to justify the fanfare of when he was brought in. I think we'll see if they'll part ways with Kai Green at the end of the season. I've really liked what we've gotten from Maury Donor. He seems like he's worked really hard. It could be just one of those things where he has a ceiling cap, where he can be a really, really good Energizer Bunny on a average team and maybe not your best team in the world. That's up for debate. I think if you have the option in the contract, depending on, because they did bring him in from Detroit, so contracts are funky to see what actually came across and what team options are not. I think Maury Donor would be a solid addition for next year's team. Some more of the things. So, Peter Wilson. Let's have the Peter Wilson discussion here. There's a lot of, and justifiably so, there was a lot of anger about Peter Wilson about halfway into the season because you brought in this striker to replace the fan favorite, Johnny Rodriguez, and then he's just not scoring goals. I think for him, it was 100% just getting comfortable and finally settling in for his local environment here in the Bay Area. And something has just massively clicked for him. I think it's either 9 goals in 9 games or 10 goals in 10 games. But let me bring up this. He is currently sitting at second place with 13 goals in the whole USL. He is number 1 now alone after today's game because he did add a not ticky-tack goal, but it was one where Danny Gomez blasted a shot off of him and it went in at the last, or like barely crossed the line and the goalie pushed it out in the 92nd minute and it counted. And you're like, oh, I guess that's a goal. You take those. But he is first place in the Western Conference when it comes to goals. Would any of us believed that like 2 months ago? Because I thought there was definitely people after that Phoenix game where he blew like 6 goal opportunities. Not even kidding. It was at least 3, which were just like walk-ins. That people just were done with him. And he is proven that, especially hopefully if he has a team option or if it was a multi-year deal, you have your striker. Like, you can score goals. The biggest problem is, this is the Western Conference only. Let's do some scrolling. No Oakland. Oh, Danny Trejo, who scored 3 goals for Birmingham and 1 for you. And then there's tied also with 4 goals is Wolfgang Prentens. You can't have your second goal scorer only having 4 goals and be hoping to be somewhere. And yes, Johnny Rodriguez is here with 8, but I'll take Peter Wilson every day of the week right now. Like I am super sold on him as a player for next year and the future. If the Roots can keep him and someone doesn't snag him away, I think we've figured out maybe he's just really streaky, but he seems to be the type of player that once he is comfortable, he's ready to go. He goes. And I really like it. I think he's someone you build around much more than EJ Johnson. I think EJ Johnson could be something good, but it could be 2 years down the road good. I don't know if that's something you can wait around when you are trying to win championships. Put that in air quotes. Goalkeepers. I wouldn't be totally shocked if they return both of these goalkeepers next year. That may be a very unpopular opinion, but I think that Kendall McIntosh being the Oakland's own kid earns, unless another team is really looking to get him. I think he's been great this year, except for there's definitely a couple moments where there's lapses or his size does hurt him, and that's just going to be a thing. But there's so many times where he just stands on his head where I'll take that. And then Raphael Spiegel, I think he will be on the team next year. Just from a standpoint of convenience. I think for him specifically, it's very easy to be a part of the Roots. It could also be something like maybe he's on Monterey Bay as a backup. I could also see that. We'll see. But I think overall, I'm okay with the goalkeeping. It could just be we'll see if they bring in better things around them. This is a weird group. I think that Camden Riley is a super great personality, spokesperson. I'm still waiting to see it on the field, and I'm not sure if it's just like injuries, but there's been too many moments where you notice him getting burnt, and that is worrying. As he also is traditionally more of a midfielder, but the Roots have been playing him more of as a defender. I wonder if it could be one of those things where a different style of play could unlock him even more further. I've been really impressed with Danny Gomez and Wolfgang. They kind of fit that role of just really solid building pieces. They're never going to astronomically wow you or blow your mind. Just, but overall, and we know Wolfgang will be here because unless they loan him out, but he signed an extension. He will be here next year. And his synergy with Peter Wilson is really solid. So I actually kind of like that. Panos has been an interesting case where I wish they had figured out that he could be a left back way earlier, because there's definitely been some growing pains. It has not been perfect. It has not been elite. But there are those moments where you go, especially I think it was on the goal last week to Peter Wilson, the second one, where he perfectly slotted a line drive to Peter Wilson from the back line. I get what Benny Feilhaber, he asked us, is like, do you guys see it? Because I see it. And I was like, okay. When you're watching it live, I don't see it, but I think when you analytically look at it, it's correct. And it could be one of those things where if Benny Feilhaber is here next year, I think Panos could be one of the great assets for the team as a left back, even though he is an attacking midfielder. That's so strange to do, but I think he could work really well there. We'll see if that happens. I think when it comes to, I think next season needs to kind of be the Ali show, where you kind of just give him the grounds, just take the midfield and go. He's still really young, and it may be a little bit too early still, but I think he has the potential to be, especially with another year of training, another building year, could be something really special. Tyler Gibson is exactly what you needed. He's a veteran. He is going to talk to the refs. He's going to be that captainly figure. I don't know if it's a starter if you bring him back. I think there's a chance it could be he's just that grounding force on the team, and you bring force. Babosi Bayaranga has been really strange this year, because there's sometimes, especially at the end of the Gavin Glinton era, he super flashed and you're like, oh shit, we've got something here. And then when Benny Feilhaber came in and he was on international duty and he was gone for a couple weeks, it kind of all fell apart. And he still does have those flashes, and there's still moments where you're like, oh yeah, I like this, but they played him at right back this week, so they're I think we know he's better, he's good enough to play, we just don't know where to put him. And that could just be hey, next year's building roster construction, we now know where we want to put you, and we can put you there. And then I've liked Faisal Batash. He's been really nice. It's not something super flashy, but I think he's just technically sound, where it's not going to, he beats you with his IQ, not with his feet, if that makes sense. But we'll see if he is a USL 1 type of player, all-star, or a actual USL championship type of player. We'll see. That my guess is that this was just a 1-year flyer after the trade from Tulsa. But contracts in the USL are notoriously hard to find out anything. I know some things. I don't know a lot of things, because they are usually supposed to be under lock and key. But overall, the Oakland Roots are technically not eliminated yet. I will not put a fork in this season yet until, to be honest with you, if Colorado Springs wins this weekend, or if Orange County wins this weekend, I think they're playing tonight. Let me double check. They're playing Sacramento tonight. Yeah, they're playing Sacramento tonight, and then they also play El Paso the weekend. Ooh, that's a spicy game. If those teams win a game and they go up 6 points with 2 to go, that's when you probably pack in the season. And then there has to be a lot of questions asked. Does Benny Feilhaber come back? Does the front office, specifically the ones who make the decisions on player personnel, are they back? The Oakland Roots are known to be a weird team who likes to hold on to their front office as long as possible. They are not a team. They change coaching staffs a lot more than other teams. Would I be shocked if there's another new head coach to start next season? I wouldn't be. I think Feilhaber's done enough and he's proven enough. But also the question is, does he want to stay here? Is this a place for him? And I don't fully know if it is, because they have especially the support network. But the question is, the front office good enough to get the players that he needs to make a good team? Because I think he could. But is it enough? If you said when he come in, hey, our goal is to make the playoffs. That's our threshold. And you don't make the playoffs, can you bring him back? Even if he's a good manager, even if he goes to the next stop and he's great, and you go, damn, we let that guy go. But can you keep him around? I don't know. I think you should. But things though, if you keep him around, you have to keep him around. You can't just go and fire him halfway through the year if you're struggling again. Because at this point, then it's a front office. Then we're already in a pattern. What you gonna do? But I think that will be the end for today. If you guys have any comments, questions for potentially a season-ending special, let me know. Also, as always, like and subscribe. I love you all, and I'll see you after the Hartford game on Tuesday. See you Wednesday, everyone.